Our brains can't handle random. Okay? And I think that's an important psychological fact. We can't handle the randomness. We have to apply order to chaos to exist. Otherwise, all these truths will drive us crazy, right? We have to, as humans, apply order to chaos. That's why we see trends. That's why we find patterns. We're trying to do all the things. I'm guilty of it too, right? Today, I want to talk about trends. And I think this is going to be one of those things where I've talked about it before, and there's a lot of misunderstanding here. And yesterday, our last session, we talked about variance. Trends and variance kind of work together. But reminder that the house always wins. And we've seen all the ways why. Reason number 7 why the house wins is this trend betting fallacy. And this is a real thing, right? You say this. I've heard people say it. They chat it to me all the time. Because I'm seeing blah, I'm sure that blah is coming next. And that is what I hear. Because we're seeing nines, the 9 must be hot. Therefore, I'm going to bet the 9. Because I'm seeing red, we're going to bet red. Because I'm seeing bank, 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 I'm betting bank. And I say this, give me a freaking break. There's zero truth to this. It may happen for you. You may win on those betting plays, but it's not for the reasons that you think. Okay. Definition wise, let's go. Variance tells you statistically how much the outcomes are fluctuating overall, right? Variance is a number. It's a way to measure how far away from the expectations you are. A variant refers to what you're experiencing right now, right? According to that variance number, right? This is the actual set of outcomes you're looking at in real time. Like, okay, I just saw it this morning. I saw 4 12s in 5 rolls. Okay. Huge variance on that, right? That's a 4-to-1 variant, 4-to-1 variance calculation there. The variant we saw was crazy town. Okay, that's how you describe it. The trend, though, is a predictable pattern, change, or something else triggered by a mechanism. Okay. And I think the word I've got there in orange is important. Trends are predictable patterns. Okay. And they occur everywhere. Okay. They're patterns or tendencies in data that shows some consistent direction of change over time. Okay. Trends are best talked about in context like economics or technology or social behavior, right? There's a force, right? Trends identify a force that causes change, right? They help us analyze the change and help us decision making and forecasting, right? Again, I always use these examples because they're perfect, right? The economic trend that's going on, right? We're in an inflationary trend right now. There's lots of reasons for that. Okay. There's, the Fed raised income, the rate hikes. We have weird things going on in the technology sector that are causing the economy to trend in a certain way, right? And again, the more that happens, the more that happens because of the rates and the layoffs and all those things. The market does what the market does, and it kind of snowballs. That creates a trend. In technology, we've just seen the rise of AI, right? The trend right now in technology is we're going more towards artificial intelligence, less towards people, and we're seeing layoffs. And we're seeing layoffs in a lot of sectors, and we're seeing lots of jobs being created in different sectors. That's a trend. Okay. The trend in technology now is more towards data science than programming. That's what we're seeing. Again, there's a driver behind that. Social behavior, right? All the craziness that you see in the social world, right? With TikTok, right? TikTok is a trend creator, right? It is a force majeure. It is out there doing things and causing snowball effect of the way that people behave, act, and treat each other. Okay. That's what a trend is. There's something pushing from behind all the time. Trends require influence. They require a force to be at work to give it that motion, that direction, and become something predictable, right? And again, interest rates, wars, social unrest, market changes, all of these things are influence, they're force, they make things happen. Okay. In gambling, there is no such influence. And I can't say that any clearer. Every result we see is 100% random. The fact that this morning I literally threw 4 12s and 6 rolls or whatever that was, completely random. My dice set was different every single time. My tosses were different every single time. There was nothing consistent about that at all, right? My throws weren't great. They bounced this way, they bounced forward, they bounced back off the wall. They were 12s, right? No influence was imparted by me whatsoever. They were randomly coming up that way. Now you can sense that as a pattern and you can say, I'm going to parlay what's happening. Fine. If you're doing it because I'm throwing it, that's where the insanity comes in. And I think it's an important thing for us all to remember that everything in gambling is random. Okay. Again, trends allow us to predict future events because we know and understand the influence or the force behind it, right? If the market's going a certain way, like if the Fed keeps raising interest rates, we can predict what the market's going to do, right? If all of a sudden everybody on TikTok is wearing pasties or half shirt, guess what's going to happen in schools? Everybody's going to start doing it. We can predict that, right? In gambling, you can't predict anything. And that's, I think, the thing that we have to settle ourselves with. You can't predict a thing. Every outcome is a random independent event. The dice always are random, right? You cannot predict what's going to happen. Nothing changes, by the way, based on what just happened, right? Trends always, they'll say, happen in the rear view mirror, right? A trend can be said in gambling to have happened, right? The sevens were trending down. The sixes were trending up. In my case, the midnight was trending up. But at this point in time, none of that matters. What just happened doesn't matter when I pick the dice up and throw them. Or when the guy spins the ball in roulette, or when the dealer pulls the next cards out. Nothing matters, right? Everything is an independent trial. And here's the inconvenient truth about that: the probabilities never change. I'll show you an example in a minute. The probabilities of what's going to happen on the next roll, or the next spin, or the next hand never change. There's zero causality in gambling. Zero causality. Unless you are a magician with the dice, there is no causality. And I think a trend needs that to work. Nothing is ever due. We talked about the law of big numbers the other day. There is nothing ever due. If you rolled 11 sevens in a row, it doesn't mean that something else is due. It doesn't mean the seven is not due. The seven is still just as due on the next roll as it was in the one before. Okay. Patterns, again, only exist in history. You can look at the roulette board, right, and see red, 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 red. That's historical. It's not future. That's what has already happened. And what has already happened has zero bearing on what's going to happen next. Nothing that already happened matters. Not one bit of it. Unless the croupier, the roulette ball roller guy, is cheating and he's finding a pocket, there's no causality there. Nothing that happened before matters. And you can't predict what's going to happen. It's just the truth of it. Gambling, there is no trends in gambling. It's a myth. Now, there are streaks for sure, right? I will certainly admit that, right? We'll talk through that in a little bit here, but here's some examples of the probability piece, right? Let's say, and I gave this example in the variance conversation too. Let's say somebody rolls 22 straight box numbers, no sevens, right? You're on this amazing roll, 22 straight numbers in the box. Amazing, right? Is the box numbers trending? Somebody might say, yeah, the box numbers are trending, especially if out of the 22, if 7 of them were 9s. You might say, oh my God, the boxes is trending, the 9 is trending, okay? What is the probability of me throwing another box number on the very next roll? Does it go up, right? Do I have a 5-to-1 chance to throw a box number on the next roll, or is it still 3-2 like it should be, right? That probability doesn't change on the next roll of dice because I threw 22 in a row. It doesn't matter. If I threw 6 or 8 sixes in a row, or 8 sixes before I saw a 7, you might say, God, the 6 is trending. John's throwing a ton of 6s, right? Is it trending? What's the probability that the next throw is a 6? It's still 5 out of 36. It doesn't change, right? Because I threw 8 of them doesn't mean that now I've got a 10 in 36 chance to throw a 6. It doesn't increase my odds, nor does it say the opposite is true. Now he's got a 1 out of 6 chance to throw or 1 out of 36 to throw a 6 because the 7s do. It doesn't matter. Every time we throw the dice, every time the ball rolls, every hand, the probability of the next result does not change. If bank in baccarat, if red or black in roulette, if they're going off 10, 15 in a row, what's the chance of the next one being a banker or a red to continue that streak? 1 out of 1. It's still a 50-50 chance. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. Now, that all said, streaks happen. And I'm the first one to admit it, and I love it. Streaks happen. Progressively betting on what is happening, solid play. Progressively not betting on what's not happening, solid play. If you're betting on right side craps, or you're betting on black, let's say I'm going to bet black no matter what all the time in roulette, and all you're seeing is a bunch of reds, stop betting, right? So not betting when it's not going your way, smart move, right? Progressively betting when it is going your way, smart move. That's a way to get into a streak, right? But to look at that and say, because that's happening, I know what's going to happen. You're wrong, right? We've given this example before. You see 5 reds in a row. One person's going to say blacks do. One person's going to say reds are trending, right? You're both going to bet on your number, black or red. You're both going to be wrong when the result comes out. One of you is going to win, but you're both going to be wrong as to why you won or why you lost. And that's an important thing to remember, okay? Positive variants do exist. We talk about it, streaks all the time. Positive variants happen where you're going to win a bunch in a row. That's fantastic, right? Again, there's no trend. It's not being forced to happen. There's no influence behind it. It's just occurring randomly, okay? Humans, I said this before, our brains can't handle random, okay? And I think that's an important psychological fact. We can't handle the randomness. We have to apply order to chaos to exist. Otherwise, all these truths will drive us crazy, right? We have to, as humans, apply order to chaos. That's why we see trends. That's why we find patterns. We're trying to do all the things. I'm guilty of it too, right? All of us are. But it's an inconvenient truth that none of that is true. Randomness happens. Independent trials are the world that we live in, and things just happen. Now, when they're happening, you can do smart things. Okay? I ask this all the time. Let's say that you had 10 reds in a row. Here's my go-to example. 10 reds in a row. You walk up and go, my God, that board is all red. Okay, now me at the table, if I'm betting, I start out with $10 and I win $10 on red, and my next bet is 15, and red comes and I go, now I'm betting 20 and I'm pulling 15 back and I'm betting 20, I'm betting $5 every time, progressively hammering it, right? I'm going to make money. I'm collecting on the streak. You might say I'm trend betting. You might say that. I would say I'm not. I'm just betting what I'm seeing, betting what's coming. Somebody else walks up to the table and goes, my God, there's been 15 reds in a row. Is that person going to say reds are trending and drop $1,000 on red, their entire bankroll for the day? Do you do that? Do you do that? Because if you're a true trend better, that's what you would do. You'd be, yep, I see 15 in a row. That's the trend. I'm dropping my entire day's bankroll on that number. You wouldn't do that. Nobody with any intelligence would ever do that. In the moment, you can progress your bets. That's a different thing. And I think that understanding why you're doing what you're doing is a big piece of it. Now, the last question is, can a human create a trend? Can a human cause a trend? Yes, they can. Definitively, yes. Humans can impart influence to a degree. I'll take roulette as the first example here. In roulette, there are rules in place in the game of roulette that prevent the guy from causing a trend because they are good. They can detect how fast that wheel's going. They can drop the ball at a certain, when the green's by their hand, they can flick it at a certain speed and they can target quadrants. We know that roulette dealers can do that. There are rules in place where they can't. The wheel spins at different rates. They have to be looking away when they spin the ball. There's game protection in place because they can do it, right? In craps, we have bouncy tables. We have alligator back walls because humans without the alligator wall can absolutely influence the dice. Before they had the alligator wall, that's what people did, right? Now, can a DI of today impart influence on the dice? People say they can. I don't think I can. People say they can. To a degree, maybe it's possible, okay? You can create a trend with influence only. You cannot create a trend with random happenstance. And I think that's the problem that I see in the world today. People are seeing trends and streaks where there aren't. And if you think you can do that, you can't. If you think you can predict the future, if you can read the tea leaves on a table based on what you're seeing, you're fooling yourself. And if you're telling people you can, you're just selling wolf tickets. If you got a YouTube channel where you're telling people to bet the trend and win, you're causing damage. And that's what I got to say about that. I'm very, very hard line on this one because I think words matter. I said this before, words do matter. Now, all that said, streaks happen, variants happen, right? Every time you're at a table, you're in a variant. I think every variant is not caused by a trend. And I think that's the thing we have to realize. So anyway, there it is. I have ranted enough about it. I rant on trends because I'm passionate about people making poor decisions based on bad information. Okay. You want to make a poor decision based on good information, that's on you. If the information you have is not correct and you make a poor decision, that's on me. So you have to get the truth. And I think that's important. So again, variance, very real. Variance that you live in, very real. Streaks, very much real. Positive variance, very much real. Trends, not real. And there it is. There's your April rant on trends. I do this once a month, I feel like, but it's important to know, okay? You want to call what you're doing trend betting, that's fine. I don't care if you call it that, but just know that that's not what's actually happening, right? You're betting on the thing that happened progressively. Cool. Catch the wave, ride the streak, do what you want to, but you sure as hell ain't predicting what's happening. And that's all I got to say. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave us a comment here in the comment section for the video, but really better still, join us on Discord. Go to casinogaming.tv and hit the community link in the menu there and join our Discord. That's where me, other YouTubers, and all of our subscribers hang out. We sit there and talk strategy and just BS kind of all day long. It's a great way to get connected and stay connected and kind of interact with the team. Learn about meetups and get-togethers and all that kind of stuff. So with all that said, again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time. God bless you, and I will see you in the next one.